So, Mr. Richard Armitage, can you tell us more about what's happening now at the Obama administration in your perception and observation for South Asia's development and as well as Singapore? Because right now a lot has changed after 1 year, and Obama now is not able to fulfill much of what he wished to fulfill in his wish list. So, what's next for the United States?
Well, in terms of his domestic issues, he's been quite, and his domestic desires, he's been quite unable to move forward. And thus far, as we speak today, we're still having trouble in our deficit talks. So you're right as far as that goes. In the foreign policy area, it looks to me as if the Obama administration has continued primarily Bush administration policies, what some people refer to as Bush Light. But he has consolidated, for instance, with India, the relationship that George Bush and 3 previous presidents to him in the United States have worked towards. He's going to be coming to Asia for the East Asia Summit in Bali later this year. We'll be chairing APEC in Honolulu. So I think that the picture on the foreign policy front is a little bit better than perhaps your question indicated.
Oh, I see. So if the U.S. has been successful right now in achieving the domestic goal in employment rate as well as overseas?
No, of course not. When you have 9.2% unemployment in the United States, this is unacceptable. When you have a $15 trillion deficit, this is unacceptable. So the administration has not been successful there. However, internationally, I think as they've generally followed the Bush administration's foreign policy, they've been fairly successful. And I really appreciate, frankly, the efforts of both Mr. Gates and Mrs. Clinton in Asia to make it clear that we are going to be part of Pacific life.
How important is the South Asian diaspora contribution towards, the U.S.?
Well, when you say that diaspora, you'd have to parse it out. The Indian diaspora, which is very highly educated, very entrepreneurial, very high tech, has been very, very successful in their lobbying activities and their political organization in the United States. Other diaspora, whether it's Pakistani or Bangladeshi or Sri Lankan, who are somewhat less, seem to spend more of their efforts sending money back, contributions back to their family, and less time organizing to be politically successful in the United States.
And what is it for Singapore itself in Southeast Asia? What do you see right now? Is there going to be more economic development than military with the U.S.?
Well, I don't know what Prime Minister Lee has in his mind, but I've been involved with Singapore since 1981, when I first met former Minister Mentor Lee Kuan Yew, and we've always had a genuinely valuable relationship. First of all, there's the size and the hard power that the United States bring to Asia, which is still respected in Asia to some extent. Regarding Singapore, we delight with Singapore's economic prowess. First quarter was 11%. I think this quarter will be down a little bit, but still quite good. But most of all, we benefit from the advice we get from Singapore on matters in Southeast Asia.
Well, thank you, Mr. Richard
Armitage,
and we will stay in touch with the policymaker.
Bye.